That Nintendo Direct last week was wild, and I've had some people asking me for my thoughts. If you follow me on Twitter, you might have seen how surprised I was by some of these announcements, and for the most part, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about a lot of these titles. This year is shaping up to be great, and that's not something I've felt in a really long time. I mean, even outside of the Nintendo Direct announcements, we've got Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. There's going to be a lot to talk about over the next few weeks. However, the big hitters were definitely Front Mission 1 and 2 and Live Alive getting remakes. I don't know if anyone could have seen those coming. But it was also nice to see the trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and the Chrono Cross Remaster, which comes bundled with Radical Dreamers. It's interesting because I had just started dabbling with Live Alive 2 days before this announcement, so it was just a huge coincidence and a massive surprise to see that getting the HD 2D treatment. So they led off with Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Now, I'm a big Fire Emblem fan, but I was hoping to see Fire Emblem Echoes Genealogy. That was what I really wanted, and this is another Warriors crossover, and I don't care for the Warriors format, so this didn't do much for me. Then they showed Advanced Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. It's a remake or remaster of Advanced Wars 1 and 2 for the GBA, and I didn't play these games back in the day, but I had friends who loved them, so I thought that was pretty exciting for their sake. Given all the great stuff coming out this year, I don't know if I'll make time to try this out, but I'm definitely keeping the door open for it. Then they showed a port for No Man's Sky coming to the Switch. This is a game that I'm becoming more interested in over time, but I think I want to try it on PC with multiple monitors if I end up grabbing it. Then came the Front Mission announcement, and this was when it really started getting good. Front Mission was a game I dabbled with back when I learned about ZSNES and emulation as a kid, but I never ended up finishing it. That said, it's a Squaresoft classic, and that means I'm getting this, and I'm finally going to get around to playing it. I'll probably start a playthrough of the SNES version before then, so that I can make some comparisons, but this looks good. This isn't the HD 2D thing, this is a full-on 3D remake of Front Mission 1 and 2, and it looks great. I was really surprised to see this. I think the love that's being given to tactical RPGs of late is very promising for Final Fantasy Tactics, and I want to see that game given a tune-up and brought to modern hardware, particularly because Yasumi Matsuno has a working relationship with Square and could possibly be involved himself. That would be a dream come true, and so seeing some of these more obscure Squaresoft titles from the 90s getting this kind of treatment, I mean, we've already seen some pretty good remasters of Romancing Saga 2 and 3 and a competent remake of Trials of Mana, so it's looking better and better for Final Fantasy Tactics, Chrono Trigger, and possibly even Xenogears. I'm not trying to set myself up for disappointment here, but let's keep hoping for that. Okay, but then we got the Chrono Cross and Radical Dreamers trailer. This one didn't surprise me as much. I've actually been expecting this. Yasunori Mitsuda has been teasing something related to Chrono Cross for a little while. The fact that this has materialized has given more validity to that Nvidia leak. As for Chrono Cross itself, I think it's a pretty decent game. I'd be willing to play through it again. A lot of people are going to rightfully criticize Square's apparent inability to properly upscale pre-rendered backgrounds. Personally, I'm more interested to hear the remastered soundtrack, which Mitsuda seems to be involved with. That's definitely what has me most excited, but I'll give this a go, and I thought it was a nice gesture to include Radical Dreamers. Then we got hit with Live Alive, and this one was the biggest surprise for me. I would have never guessed Square would pick this among all of its old library. It's cool to see, though. This will be the first time the game gets officially released outside of Japan, and the HD 2D looks really good here. I think that was the right format for it. This game was actually the directorial debut for Takashi Tokita, who had a huge influence on Final Fantasy IV. He was a theater major, and I feel his thumbprint on the FF series was bringing more of that drama and theatricality to the storytelling. He's actually the main reason why I got interested in playing Live Alive, so I'll keep that playthrough going, and that should give me the ability to make good comparisons when the game launches this July. It's got this interesting format where you play several shorter storylines across history that are all tied together in the final 2 scenarios, which are only unlocked after completing the initial 7. I'm glad to see this get some love, and again, it makes me more hopeful for the kind of treatment we could see coming to Final Fantasy Tactics, Chrono Trigger, and possibly Xenogears in the future. Then there was another Triangle Strategy trailer. I'm disappointed they kept that title. I think it's a terrible name. Really, really bad. But the game itself is promising. I've already done a video on the last demo they released a few months back. They did also release a new demo, however, and I'll try to get around to that later this week if I have time, since you can bring save data over to the final game. If you want extended thoughts on Triangle Strategy though, hit up my other video on that, the link will be in the description. Then Nintendo trolled their fans hard with this Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings trailer. Both are coming to the Switch Online service, and it really felt like they were prepping for a Mother 3 announcement. But of course they didn't do that. Why would they do that? Why would they make their Earthbound fans happy? I don't know. Based on how things were going, it seemed for a moment like they might do it. And that would have just blown the lid off of this Direct. But I expected too much of Nintendo. It's never happening. Just forget the whole idea. However, they left off on a high note with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I liked the tone of this trailer. I'm intrigued by the flute motif they're using for the soundtrack. They got Mitsuda and Ace Plus back, so you know it's going to be phenomenal. And I actually enjoyed the art style. I think it was a nice compromise between Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and Xenoblade 2. Some people haven't been keen on the voice acting, which feels in line with Xenoblade 2's Welsh accents, but I'll have to see it in context before I can really comment on it. The accent isn't what bothers me at all. It's more about voice direction, inflection, subtlety, and nuance in the performances. It sounds a little over the top to me in the trailer, which is, it's right in line with most voice acting in JRPGs, but with that said, I feel pretty optimistic about this. I liked what I saw. The reference to Ouroboros was not lost on me. The two warring nations, are called, now I might get this wrong in the pronunciation, it's a Hebrew word. I don't know if it's Kivs or if it's Keves, but the other nation is Agnes, which are Hebrew and Latin terms respectively for lamb. They're also eerily similar to Kislev and Ignis. Also, the main character's name is Noah, which was the project name for Xenogears back during its development. Look, I'm just saying, there's a lot of Xenogears references so far, and that's getting me very excited. They also seem to be doing some kind of combination of motifs from Xenoblade 1 and 2, which is pretty interesting. Director Tetsuya Takahashi elaborated on this a little bit, saying, "The key visual features a broken greatsword of Makanis and the body of the Urian Titan with a big gaping hole. I imagine everyone who saw the trailer was quite surprised by the final scene. What is this visual hinting at? I can't reveal that yet. What I can tell you is that this visual was conceived quite some time ago. More precisely speaking, we came up with it sometime between the end of Xenoblade Chronicles and the beginning of development of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So it's not something we recently added to the series. We believe the game will be enjoyable both for those who played Xenoblade Chronicles and/or Xenoblade Chronicles 2, as well as those who will be playing a Xenoblade Chronicles game for the first time." So I'm not going to speculate in this video on what is being hinted at with this, but all of this has me really intrigued. I'm officially back on board with Xenoblade Chronicles, and I'm very much looking forward to this later in the year. So yeah, I think that was everything they showed at the Nintendo Direct. There's a lot to look forward to, I'm feeling very optimistic, and I'll have some work cut out for me here in the next couple of weeks, so look forward to more videos. I'll be looking out for what you guys thought of all of this in the comments, and let's hope that all these big games live up to their promise. Thanks for watching, see you again soon everyone.